In high school, I worked in our building supply and in our engineering group during the summers, and so that was my first exposure to what we do and how we do it, and I got to tag along in some of Dad's meetings. Never any pressure to come work for the company. It was always my option, but my freshman year at Ole Miss, I realized this opportunity I had. I knew I wanted to work with my dad. I knew from what I understood about the business, I really liked it. So I committed to him that when I came back from school that I was going to work with Yates and try to help us grow our company. So never any strong pressure, but once I committed to come to the company, that's when the real pressure started. We had a discussion because I was really leaning towards engineering, want to do what he did. And he strongly encouraged me to go into a business-oriented major. He said, look, we're at a point now, it's an inflection point in the growth of the company. I need somebody who can help me grow a business, not run engineering calculations.
And I might say that that's really worked well. I mean, William manages with the numbers, and all the people under him manage with numbers and business plans, and he's taken us to an entirely different level there. And that comes from his education, in my opinion, which has been just great for the company.
I came back from school and committed to work with Dad to try to grow our company. And he said, I have a goal for you. I said, what's that? He said, I want to teach you and have you learn in 10 years what it's taken me 30 years to learn. And I said, well, that sounds very ambitious. Not sure that's possible, but that was the thinking, to try to accelerate and get me as much exposure as quickly as possible so I could get to a point where I could be helpful and productive and actually run the business with him. I came back and have lots of fond memories of working in Philadelphia on several projects at one time and learning the business and asking Dad lots of questions and really getting a good basic fundamental teaching from him about what it takes to be successful in this business.
The first casino that came to Tunica was owned by some people that had bought 2 boats, and they had those boats in Mobile being renovated and preparing to be, one was going to be the restaurant boat, one was going to be the casino boat, and they were going to both be parked right next to each other in South Tunica. The next one was a casino right next door to them, and they pulled an ocean-going barge up on the beach and asked us to turn it into a casino, and 89 days later they opened it for business. In those days, and some of them were just getting into the casino business. For sure, they were just getting into the casino business in Mississippi, and schedule was just paramount. Just how quick can we get to market? That was what it was all about. So they looked to us to make the schedule, and they looked to us to make changes if we needed to make them, and just tell them what we were doing. Just please get us open, Yates. That's what they wanted.
Initially, it was not clear that gaming was going to be the industry that it ended up being in Mississippi. Soon thereafter, though, we realized, and I was still in college, but you could see the velocity of casinos coming, and they were getting bigger, and we knew that we were in a really unique, good position to take advantage of that opportunity. We could provide value and make schedules and budgets where maybe some of our other competitors couldn't. So we really seized that opportunity, and it helped change the destiny of the company.